and welcome to the Curriculum Connections video for the undergraduate stage 1 of our trainees who are accredited by Leeds Trinity with Bradford College. My name's Lucy Larkin. It's nice to see you all again, and I lead Year 1 with Paul. You can get in touch with us by those emails on the screen if you have any questions. Just a reminder of the key documentation. So here we have the Placement Moodle site, which you can access with the username, school, password, due place, and on there is every documentation that you could possibly need, including the main one we refer back to each week, which is the school experience expectations and weekly breakdown. And that's what we're going to go through today. So our big question for this week, so the week of this video is the week commencing the 18th of May, which is next week. And we are continuing our focus on behaviour management. And our question is, how are routines, relationships and rules used to manage behaviour across the curriculum? So we're really focusing on what we unpicked during our ITAP week about how we can be proactive in our behaviour management, considering especially routines that we have in classes, the way we are with the children in our relationships, and how rules and policies are followed to manage that behaviour. So that's our focus for this week. As always, there's some reading for the trainees to do and to reflect on in their big question, making sure that reflection is personal and specific, but also brings in the reading. So trainees, your expectations this week is to watch the video. Hello. Complete your weekly reflection on Abiasa. This week will mark your 6th weekly reflection. So if you are checking back on your Abiasa timeline and you are missing any, you do need to go back and look at your notes from that week and update, because you will be trying to make sure by the end of it that you have enough weekly reflections. So this is our 6th one. Also, just a little reminder, are you using your curriculum tracker grid? So this grid here, you can see at the bottom of the screen, is in your booklet, and that just helps you to make sure that you are observing, teaching, co-teaching a mixture across the curriculum, because by the end of your 3 years, you need to make sure that you have covered everything. So just keep an eye on that, make sure that you are filling that in. For your teaching this week, those of you who are in early years, foundation stage, we would like you to plan and teach 4 adult-led activities this week. And this can be in conjunction with your teacher. It can be small groups, it can be whole class. And when you are not teaching, we expect you to be supporting both indoor and outdoor provision and playing alongside the children. Those of you who are in Key Stage 1 and 2, we would like you to plan and teach a minimum of 2 English, which could be phonics, reading or writing, and 2 maths sessions this week. So that's 4 lessons you need to plan for and teach this week. Now they could be working with a small group as part of a lesson. It could be part of the whole class lesson. It might be feeling brave enough now. If you've made enough progress, you might take on the majority of a lesson, but that can be decided between you and your mentor. During your contact time in class, you are expected to continue supporting the children with their learning as directed by your class teacher. Now you're planning, so this week you're planning 4 lessons. All of them must be on the Bradford College planning lesson pro forma, but you only need to upload one of those to Abiasa, and that will be the one that you'll be observed on. So the lesson you've chosen to be observed on, upload that plan to Abiasa for your lead mentor to see as well. Any other lessons you teach must still be planned and resourced. You can save that planning wherever works best for you. You might have a planning folder, physical one or an online one, but it needs to be accessible, because at any point your class teacher, school mentor, or even your lead mentor may ask to see your planning. So that has to be present, and hopefully you have shared that with your class teacher in advance to gain feedback before you teach. School mentors this week, watching the Curriculum Connections video again, hello, and your observation this week, we would like you to support our trainees in their directed task, which is to really focus on their behaviour management skills. Now that they've looked at it in detail and they've done lots of observations, we would like their feedback from you to focus on how they manage their behaviour during the observation. So beforehand, if you could agree what strategies you are looking for, something that aligns with your school policy, maybe it's a way to call everyone's attention together, or the way that your school uses positive praise. But if you could agree those strategies in advance and then watch those specifically and give feedback on how effective they were, and that will really help the trainees to hone their practice and develop in that area. In addition to that is the weekly meeting that will discuss feedback from the observation. It will ensure that trainees know what they're going to teach next week and have support in target setting. The targets should align really closely with the core competencies. If you can't remember what those are, they are on that Moodle site. There's a nice big document that explains them. They align really closely with the teacher standards. There's also an additional one this week. Our trainees have an additional task, which we'll talk about in a moment, to select 6 focus children for their pupil progress tracker, all to do with assessment. So if you could support them in choosing some eligible children. Lead mentors may conduct their in-person check this week. It may have been last week during SATs, or it may be this week. And they will pop in and do hopefully a joint observation with you and just check in on how everything's going. If there are any problems at all, please do discuss them. We would rather be open, honest, get everything sorted for you. Lead mentors, as well as the weekly email to check in and check in on Abiasa, could you also check please for ITAP booklets? They should now be uploaded. So trainees, if you've not yet done it, make sure those are uploaded ASAP because the deadline for that was Friday just gone. There is also our compliance check in school, and that will mean that you can complete the compliance check on Abiasa as soon as you've done that. If you're having any problems getting into school or you need to rearrange for timetables, just send an email to myself or Paul just to let us know, keep us in touch. So trainees, your directed task focuses, as well as the focus on behaviour management in your lesson observation, is to identify your focus children. So this is the task we've talked about before, where you are going to choose 6 children, and at the end of each lesson, you need to note down on the tracking pro forma below, so there's one for English and one for maths. You need to note down whether you think through your assessment in the lesson, but also your assessment of any work they've completed, whether they partially achieved, mostly achieved, or fully achieved the learning outcome for that lesson. And this is really to support you in developing your understanding of assessment. So this needs to be filled out after each lesson that you teach, and then later on in the programme, you will have a meeting to discuss this. Now, as class teachers, we know that this is done for every child, every lesson, but we want our trainees to have a manageable start to this. So just 6 children, a range of confidence in our learners, just to support them in getting a little bit of a mixture. Just add the initials. Any questions with that sheet, if you're struggling, pop along to the coffee and catch up on Wednesday, trainees, and we can talk you through that one further. Okay, that's it from me this week. If there are any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch, send us an email. We've had some really great questions coming in. We like to be really flexible and responsive to what schools need. And trainees, will hopefully see any of you who need it at the coffee and catch up on Wednesday at 5:30. And that's it from me. We'll see you next week.